We're about to reference right here is a meta-analysis in reference to quercetin lowering blood pressure, a popular flavonoid many of you may already use for assisting in allergies or potentially inflammation itself. However, though, this particular study showed significant reductions in blood pressure in as little as 8 weeks of consumption, anywhere from between as low as 100 milligrams to anywhere plus 500 milligrams a day of quercetin. With that in mind, let's get right into the study itself. Great study, had yielded tremendous benefits in reference to blood pressure, obviously, but also too in HDL-C and triglycerides. But let's get right into the research as follows. Plant pigment can significantly reduce blood pressure. A new paper in Nutrition Reviews finds that the intake of the flavonoid quercetin can greatly reduce high blood pressure in patients suffering from cardiovascular disease. I'm going to read through this part real fast because it's important to look at the scope of the study itself. Researchers here consulted multiple studies that assess the impact of quercetin on blood pressure and glucose levels. Quercetin is a plant pigment commonly found in many plants and foods such as onions, teas, apples, and red wine. Each study assessed blood glucose, total cholesterol, and or insulin. 17 studies with a total of 886 participants were included. We're going to look at the pooled data in regard to blood pressure in a second. The pooled results from 13 treatment arms throughout the studies consulted showed that quercetin administration markedly reduced systolic blood pressure. Participants who consumed quercetin for 8 weeks or more showed significantly changed levels of high-density lipoprotein cholesterol. Quercetin did not markedly influence total cholesterol or significantly alter fasting blood glucose levels concentrations. Quercetin was not found to cause serious adverse effects in any of the included studies, unless you're concerned about safety. All right, I want to look at a data snippet here because it shows that what the researchers claim was probably the best effect, the dosage-wise. If you look at here, it's about 500 milligrams a day. All right, but also too, let's look at the lipid analysis real fast in regard to that sub-analysis or subgroup. Long-term intake of quercetin, equal or greater to 8 weeks, was found to raise HDL-C levels markedly while lowering triglycerides. Findings that suggest potentially relevant clinical benefit of daily quercetin consumption. So, if further studies yield the same results, not only are we looking at a reduction in blood pressure, we're looking at a raising of the HDL-C and a lowering of the triglycerides. And those potential effects may yield a solid income in regard to cardiovascular health. So it's like a multifaceted aspect. You're just not looking at lowering blood pressure. You're looking at basically changing profiles into a healthier, outcome or profile, I should say. But proceed as follows. More detailed information in regard to the trial, let's look at right there. And you see many of the trials included just as little as 100 milligrams a day of quercetin. So still yet yielding a significant benefit. Just to give you a range of how powerful the effect of quercetin is, and at least in regard to this meta-analysis. All right, to proceed, we're going to go to the conclusion of the actual full study itself. Then we're going to go back to more of the public release. It's important because it covers a few aspects that are not included in basically the public release. But to proceed as follows. The results of this meta-analysis indicate that quercetin has the ability to lower blood pressure without causing any significant adverse effects and may have the ability to significantly reduce triglycerides. Moreover, quercetin consumption significantly increased HDL-C levels in cohorts that consumed quercetin for longer periods of 8 weeks or equal to 2 weeks, and in trials with a parallel design. Quercetin consumption may be an effective dietary modality to reduce cardiovascular disease risk in humans. Further robust trials are needed to test the effects of long-term quercetin supplementation on cardiovascular disease-related morbidity and events. Of course, I'll have the DOI citation linked to the full study as well. But let's go to the public release and wrap it up. The review concluded that a reduction, this is an interesting finding as well that the researchers observed in the studies, that a reduction in blood pressure of more than 10 points lowers cardiovascular risk by 50% for heart failure, 35 to 40% for stroke, and approximately 20 to 25% for myocardial infarction. Researchers here found that the favorable effects of quercetin on blood pressure support the use of quercetin for patients with hypertension. Good conclusion. Now to proceed, just for the biostatisticians out there, one thing I do like about the study as well, before we look at the links to the full study itself, is they actually took into account publisher bias in regard to looking at the meta-analysis, which is actually really cool. For those not familiar with publisher bias, it means basically, you know, when you look at hypothesis testing or errors, that sometimes the publisher can basically say things which truly didn't exist in the study itself, or misinterpret information based upon a certain perception. But proceed. You look at the funnel charts in regard to publisher bias, incredibly cool. Now to the full study itself. Again, I'm going to have the links in the YouTube channel for you, the DOI citation as well, so you can reference on your own, so you don't have to trust some random individual on YouTube, so you have actually access to the information. And as always, a great benefit to yielding such a simple plant flavonoid, such as quercetin itself. Again, there's lots of dietary sources out there, but still just the same. Significant reduction in blood pressure, potentially triglycerides, HDL-C, really a lot of feathers in the cap of this one particular star flavonoid. Again, this is Ralph Channel signing off once again. Hope you find this information of genuine use for you personally, and thank you very much for listening. I look forward to see you all in the next 7 days. Once again, thank you. Catch you next time. Bye.